Today I'm going to talk about the PPP loans, the small business loans. Well, they're supposed to be small business loans. I'm shocked that no one has talked about this. No one in the media is talking about this. This is perhaps the greatest theft of taxpayer dollars ever. And it's basically across all organizations and both political parties. I will start, though, with one of the biggest, the Catholic Church. Let's read. The U.S. Roman Catholic Church used a special and unprecedented exemption from federal rules to amass at least $1.4 billion in taxpayer-backed coronavirus aid, with many millions going to dioceses that have paid huge settlements or sought bankruptcy protection because of clergy sexual abuse cover-ups. The church's haul may have reached or exceeded $3.5 billion. That's amazing to me. This is a tax-exempt organization. This is not a small business. The Catholic Church was wealthy, I guess, before all the sexual abuse cases. As it says, houses of worship and faith-based organizations that promote religious beliefs aren't usually eligible for money from the U.S. Small Business Administration. But as the economy plummeted and jobless rates soared, Congress let faith groups and other nonprofits tap into the Paycheck Protection Program. By aggressively promoting the payroll program and marshaling resources to help affiliates navigate its shifting rules, Catholic dioceses, parishes, schools, and other ministries have so far received approval for at least 3,500 forgivable loans. The Archdiocese of New York, for example, received 15 loans worth at least $28 million just for its top executive offices. Its iconic St. Patrick's Cathedral on Fifth Avenue was approved for at least $1 million. $28 million for its executive offices? Is that protecting jobs? I don't think so. In Orange County, California, where a sparkling glass cathedral is estimated to cost over $70 million, recently opened, officials working at the complex received 4 loans worth at least $3 million. They built a new building for $70 million, cried poverty, and got $3 million more of taxpayer money. Now, this is taxpayer money. So my problem with all of this is religion shouldn't be getting taxpayer money, period. They have tax-exempt status for a reason. And this is basically a tax non-religious people, non-Catholics, are paying for the Catholic Church. That's wrong. I'm a religious person, but separation of church and state. Simply being eligible for low-interest loans was a new opportunity, but the church couldn't have been approved for so many loans, which the government will forgive if they are used for wages, rent, and utilities without a second break. So religious groups persuaded the Trump administration to free them from a rule that typically disqualifies an applicant with more than 500 workers. Without this preferential treatment, many Catholic dioceses would have been ineligible between their head offices, parishes, and other affiliates. Their employees exceed 500 per people. Of course they do. The government grants special dispensation and creates a kind of structural favoritism, said Micah Schwartzman, a University of Law professor specializing in constitutional issues and religion, who has studied the Paycheck Protection Program and favoritism worth billions of dollars. The amount the church collected between $1.4 billion and $3.5 billion is an undercount. The Diocesan Fiscal Management Conference and Organization of Catholic Financial Officers surveyed members and reported about 9,000 Catholic entities received loans. That's nearly 3 times the number of the Catholic recipients that AP could identify. Now, any loan under $150,000, the government is not giving any data on, so we don't know where those loans went. You know, Donald Trump could have given a loan to his cat or his dog. I don't know if he has one, and that would be fine because we wouldn't know about it. Now, if we go down, it talks about, masses canceled and expenses. It doesn't matter. Like it says here, as the church reckoned with its long-time crisis, abuse reports tripled during the year ending 2019 to a total of 4,500 nationally. Meanwhile, dioceses and religious orders shelled out $282 million. That's why they took the money. They were wealthy, but they had to pay out a ton. up from 1.6 million just 5 years earlier. Most of that went to settlements in addition to legal fees and support for offending clergy. Now, loan recipients included 40 dioceses that have spent hundreds of $1 millions in the past few years paying victims through compensation funds or bankruptcy proceedings. AP's review found that these dioceses were approved for about $200 million, though that value is likely much higher. One was the New York Archdiocese, as a successful battle to lift the statute of limitations on filing child sexual abuse lawsuits gathered steam. Cardinal Timothy Dolan established a victim compensation fund in 2016. Since then, other dioceses have established similar funds, which offer victims relatively quick settlements while dissuading them from filing lawsuits. They got money. It's kind of unbelievable that they were able to get away with this. Let's see. Federal records show the Los Angeles Archdiocese, whose leader heads the Bishops' Conference, paid $20,000 to lobby the U.S. Senate and House on eligibility for nonprofits under the CARES Act. The records also show that the Catholic Charities, a social service arm of the Church, with member agencies and dioceses across the country, paid another $30,000 to lobby on the act and other issues. Catholic Charities and its members' agencies were approved for about 110 loans worth between 90 and 220 million. So basically what they did, and this is what a lot of other nonprofits did and businesses, so they took out a loan for every one of their separate chapters. So that way they could take out tons of loans and get tons of money instead of just getting one loan for the whole organization. Now, go down a little bit further. See, overall, nearly 500 loans approved to Catholic entities exceeded $1 million each. The AP found that at least 8 hit the maximum range of $5 million to $10 million. Many of the listed recipients were the offices of bishops' headquarters of leading religious orders, major churches, schools, and chapters of Catholic charities. Among the recipients was the St. Luke Institute. The Catholic Treatment Center for priests accused of sexual abuse and those suffering from other disorders received a loan ranging from $350,000 to $1 million. The Institute has at times been a way station for priests accused of sexual abuse who return to active ministry only to abuse again. So, good for them for getting money. It's just, again, when the government gives out money like this without any rhyme or reason, it's bad. I'm going to go over a lot of other organizations that did the same thing, but I thought we'd start with the Catholic Church because from what I found, they were one of the biggest beneficiaries. So, now we talked about the Catholic Church before. Now let's talk about another organization that probably shouldn't have received loans. This is kind of like Planned Parenthood's telling the Catholic Church, hold my beer. Now, this article is about Republicans not liking this, that Planned Parenthood got $80 million in subsidized small business administration loans. Now, and the Republicans saying that they should give this money back, and Democrats saying, no, they shouldn't give it back. Well, if you're going to give the Catholic Church money, I guess you can give Planned Parenthood money, but I think it's wrong to give either of those organizations money meant for small businesses. So, and what Planned Parenthood did was the same thing the Catholic Church did. This was supposed to be for little businesses. So what they did was each of Planned Parenthood's state and local affiliates is a separate nonprofit with its own leadership and funding organization. The Small Business Administration, a federal agency distributing $669 billion in subsidized loan funding to address the economic crisis caused by the coronavirus pandemic, sent letters to dozens of Planned Parenthood affiliates last week ordering them to give the money back. So each separate organization got a loan. And they're all very closely affiliated with the national organization. So they kind of cheated the system too. Now, again, liberals might say, well, they deserve the money. No, they don't. The Catholic Church doesn't either. I agree with Senator Rubio. Leave aside all the other issues, they do not qualify. This is just ridiculous, and I'm going to show you more and more businesses and different entities that shouldn't have gotten loans that did. it's yeah, like it says, the CARES Act did not forbid such organizations from receiving loan money, providing the franchises appear on the list of SBA approved franchises. But of course, people, same thing as the Catholic Church, people got angry. Now, it's just, it's just wrong. They should not have gotten federal funding and taxpayer dollars. The Catholic Church shouldn't have gotten it. And I don't believe they gave back the money. I think they used it, and the money's gone, just like the Catholic Church. None of us right now knows what the future is going to hold. If we keep 100% of our staff, it'll be one of the proudest things we've done in our career. But $80 million for Planned Parenthood, not quite as much as the estimated $3.5 billion that the Catholic Church got, but still, I think it's wrong. Let us go on to political malfeasance now. I'm going to show you some of the companies that were connected to politicians that got money. Let's start with one of the most unpopular people in the United States at the moment, the great governor of California, Gavin Newsom, and his taking advantage of the PPP program. So here it says, at least 8 companies partially owned by Governor Gavin Newsom collectively received millions of dollars from the Paycheck Protection Program, according to ABC 7 analysis. So he owns part of a Plumpjack Businesses is what it was, and he owns a winery. It's his, bars and restaurants, and they received more than 8 times that amount, at nearly $3 million altogether. Now he placed it in a blind trust, which I suppose he doesn't know what's going on. I don't really believe it. So these are the businesses that got money and the loan amounts they got. So 14 jobs, 918,000, 132 jobs, 680,000, and the jobs that are reported, 555, 560,000. That's a lot of money for not that many employees, I think. And it says here, one of the companies on the list is Villa Encinio Partners Limited Partnership. State records indicate that the name is traced back to Plumpjack Winery, which is what Gavin Newsom owns. According to SBA data, the company received a loan for $918,720. And in order for the loan to be given, it requires at least 60% should be used to cover wages. So, and he says here, it's unexpected for a 14-employee organization to get nearly $1 million, said Sean Moulton, a senior policy analyst with Project on Government Oversight. He specializes in tracking PPP funds. The purpose behind this program was to save entry-level jobs, people going in and working on that paycheck. That was what we put this out there for, to stop unemployment. The average small business loan for California companies retaining 14 employees was roughly $128,000, but Newsom's business got $918,720. So 9 times what the average gets. I wonder what he did with the extra $800,000. The average number of employees retained for every California winery that received more than $900,000 worth of PPP funding was 148. So, and they give examples. For example, the Millbrae Pancake House received a $431,000 loan and retained 53 employees. As comparison, that's less than half of what Villa received, and Burke retained nearly 4 times as many employees. That seems unfair because there are many family businesses like ours that need the money, the owner of the restaurant, Aaron Burke, said. So, again, he probably got more money because it was Gavin Newsom and they took advantage of the system because no one's paying attention. So we can add Gavin Newsom to the list of people taking advantage of the loans. And of course, they say, like many other companies facing financial duress, we use loan monies to protect our workers, blah, blah, blah. Gavin Newsom's not affiliated. Yeah, sure, he's not affiliated. Not at all. Governor's tax returns show he and his wife made $1.2 million in wages and investments, a majority of which stems from his ventures in wine and hospitality, his businesses. So if you believe that he had nothing to do with getting larger loans, I've got some swampland to sell you in Death Valley. This goes on, and we will go on to one of your favorite people, Donald Trump and his family. They would never take advantage of this. They're honest people. Well, let's see. Let's look at Donald Trump and his family. Now, nothing is directly tied to Donald Trump, and these were legally obtained, but let's just look. Businesses tied to President Donald Trump's family and associates stand to receive as much as $21 million in government loans designed to shore up payroll expenses for companies struggling amid the coronavirus pandemic, according to federal data. Now, I thought Trump was a quadrillionaire. Doesn't he and his family have all the money they need to get through this pandemic? This was supposed to be for a small, struggling business. Let's see what companies got money. A hydroponic lettuce farm backed by Trump's eldest son, Donald Jr., applied for at least $150,000 in Small Business Administration funding. Albert Hazori, a dentist frequently spotted at Mar-a-Lago, asked for a similar amount. A hospital run by Maria Ryan, a close associate of Trump lawyer and former Mayor Rudy Giuliani, requested more than $5 million. Several companies connected to the president's son-in-law and White House advisor Jared Kushner could get upward of $6 million. Now, again, there's no ban on businesses connected to Trump's orbit receiving money. They didn't put that in. They should have, but they did not. Now, if you go down, there's quite a few more companies. For example, the New York Observer, the news website that Kushner ran before entering the White House and is still owned by his brother-in-law's investment firm, was approved for between $350,000 and $1 million. A company called Princeton Forrestal LLC is at least 40% owned by Kushner family members, according to a securities filing, and was approved for $1 million to $2 million. The Kushner company's real estate company was approved for $350,000 to $1 million. The company's chief operating officer, Peter Febo, responded, several of our hotels have applied for federal loans in accordance with all guidelines. Of course, they're with all guidelines, with the vast majority of the funds going to furloughed employees. The loans to Kushner's related companies were first reported by the Daily Beast. In addition, up to $2 million was approved for the Joseph Kushner Hebrew Academy, a nonprofit religious school in Livingston, New Jersey, that was named for Jared Kushner's grandfather. Again, no money should go to any religious schools. This includes the Catholic Church, the Jewish faith. Nothing should have gone to religions. In April, a bank approved a loan between $150,000 and $350,000 for a Pennsylvania dental practice. This is what we talked about earlier, of Albert Hazori, who golfs with Trump and frequents Mar-a-Lago, the president's private club in Palm Beach. In 2017, Hazori used his access to the president to pass him a policy proposal on club stationery on behalf of the American Dental Association. He addressed a note to Trump, "Dear King." So, yeah, it's not directly to him, but again, the lettuce farming business applied for a loan. Trump Jr., it's mainly Trump Jr. And, of course, they said the company has said Trump Jr. played no role in running anything. We have no idea of anything that went on. Trump's not involved. Trump Jr.'s not involved. It's just loans for people. We don't know what's going on. Once dubbed the Donald Trump of lawyering, this guy, marquee attorney, who's fiercely defended Trump for almost 2 decades, he got a loan. His managing partner was at one point president's top lawyer in the special counsel's Russia investigation, was set to receive between $5 million and $10 million from Citibank. The largest loan a company can seek is $10 million. Now, I would think this person's pretty wealthy, and lawyers are doing okay right now. So I don't know why he needed a loan. Once dubbed the Donald Trump of lawyering by the New York Times, and he represented Trump in the Trump University fraud lawsuit. Yeah, that's a big fraud lawsuit where you got a degree that was worth nothing. And they said, of course, they've maintained full salary and benefits thanks to the loans. Of course they did. The loans helped another hospital executive tightly linked to another Trump attorney and confidant, Rudy Giuliani. They received a 25-bed critical access facility in Woodsville, New Hampshire, received between $2 and $5 million in PPP loans. The hospital CEO, Marie Ryan, is a longtime close associate of Giuliani's. Again, there's nothing that can be proven. It's just friends getting money. And that's how politicians get rich and their friends get rich. I cover your back. You give me a kickback. Now, co-hosts a talk show. Oh, I didn't know that. Ryan currently co-hosts a talk show with Giuliani called Uncovering the Truth. She has referred to Giuliani, Trump's personal lawyer, as her business partner, and their annual revenues exceed $30 million, and Ryan's salary is $300,000. So you think they wouldn't need a loan, right? And of course, Giuliani's nothing to do. He probably didn't have anything to do with the PPP loan. Again, nothing to see here. Just some businesses and friends getting money. Next, we're going to go on to the Wicked Witch of the West, Nancy Pelosi. I was going to do Nancy Pelosi by herself, but I thought I'd get all of the known Senate corruption / loans out of the way. So in this article, it says at least a dozen lawmakers have ties to organizations that received federal coronavirus aid, according to newly released government data, highlighting how Washington insiders were both author and beneficiary of one of the biggest government programs in U.S. history. Of course they were. So, among the businesses that received money was a California hotel partially owned by the husband of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, as well as a shipping business started by Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao's family. Chao was married to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Oh, Mitch McConnell and Pelosi. How nice. Both being corrupt together. Car dealerships owned by at least 3 Republican House members, Representative Roger Williams of Texas, Vern Buchanan of Florida, and Mike Kelly of Pennsylvania, received money. So too did fast food franchises owned by Representative Kevin Hern, Oklahoma, a law firm owned by the husband of Senator Jeanine Shaheen, Democrat, New Hampshire, and the former law firm of Representative Mark Cartwright, Democrat, Pennsylvania, which employs his wife. Money flowed to a farming and equipment business owned by the family of Representative Vicky Hartzler, Republican, Missouri, and a regional casino company led by the husband of Representative Susie Lee. Members of Congress, of course, again, were not barred from receiving loans. They should have barred them from receiving loans. And there's no evidence, of course, that they received special treatment. Of course they didn't. But records, this is just bad. Hundreds of millions of dollars also flowed to political consultants, opposition research shops, law firms, advocacy organizations, and trade associations whose work is based around influencing government and politics. While voting, lobbying, and ultimately benefiting from legislation aren't illegal, of course, advocates say the blurred lines risk eroding public trust. You think that mom and pop shops are going out of business while Nancy Pelosi and her husband and Mitch McConnell, they're all millionaires, are getting loans when they don't need the loans? Their companies most likely don't need the loans. Here's what it said. It certainly looks and smells bad, said Aaron Sherb, a spokesman for Common Cause, a watchdog group whose education arm was also approved for a loan. Members of Congress should not be allowed to vote on bills in which they can personally benefit. Hallelujah, I agree. Even though you received a loan too, which you probably shouldn't have because Common Cause is a nonprofit organization. But hey, as of June 30th, the Treasury Department program had handed out $520 billion to industries including manufacturing, construction, restaurants, and hotels, some of it which was actually used well. Again, we don't know any of the companies that got less than 150,000. So there's probably a lot more shenanigans going on that we just don't know about. And of course, the answer for Pelosi, oh, Mr. Pelosi doesn't know anything about it. The Pelosi's don't know anything about it. They're not aware of it. We don't know what's going on. We have no idea. The Chow's parents, the company that McConnell's wife owns, neither my wife nor I have anything to do with the business. Didn't know anything about it. Of course they don't know anything about the business that basically made them millionaires. Of course. I don't know anything. Don't know anything. Again, all the representatives don't know anything. We are not involved in any way. Applying for loans, nor do I have anything to do with their business. The car dealerships received money, not part of the business. This one guy has a net worth over $27 million, received a loan for his dealership, which is receiving a loan of between $1 and $2 million, like every company. We're grateful for it. We probably didn't need it. At least he admitted that he applied for it. 5 dealerships. Each dealership separately received $350,000 to $1 million. Other lawmakers, they distanced themselves from the loan process, of course. Said it was a big success. All their friends got rich, while a lot of other small companies went out of business. Let's look at the Vegas hotel. Husband got 2 loans of $5.6 million. The company said the funds would be used to rehire several hundred employees to prepare to reopen casinos, which haven't happened yet. A spokesperson Tuesday said that Lee did not know about the company's intention to apply for a loan. Of course she didn't. Of course she didn't know. She and other Nevada lawmakers pushed for a rule change to allow small casinos to receive the loans. Of course she pushed for a law to change it so her company could get a loan. But she had no idea that her company was going to apply for that loan. Against wineries in California again. Devin Nunez, an Iowa farm run by his family, received loans worth at least $2 million. The wineries got separate loans worth $1 million and $2 million. An Iowa dairy farm that is tied to his relatives received $150,000 to $350,000. Nothing to see here again. No one knows anything. They all got more money than they should, but who cares, right? Not to be outdone by government or nonprofits, big business got involved in fleecing taxpayer dollars. Remember, this is all taxpayer dollars. Here it says, ProPublica, this is from ProPublica, found at least 15 large companies that received over $500 million in PPP loans using the same technique, getting multiple loans sent to smaller entities they own. It's the same thing that nonprofits did too. The Paycheck Protection Program was launched to rescue the little guy, the millions of small businesses without the deep pockets needed to survive the COVID-19 shock. These businesses had big pockets. Again, but among the restaurants, dentists, and mom-and-pop shops was Vibra Healthcare, a chain of hospitals and therapy centers spread across 19 states with over 9,000 employees. The biggest PP loan was supposed to be $10 million, but Vibra found a way to land as much as $97 million. So Vibra has revenues of $1 billion, but when the company got in line to receive what is essentially free government money, as the loans are forgivable, it made itself seem small. From Vibra's corporate address in Pennsylvania, 26 limited liability companies received PPP loans, 23 of them from the same bank, with almost all the loan approvals coming on the same day in April. And they also found other large businesses that did the same thing. They basically took their not affiliates, but branch offices, and got loans for each of these of their separate businesses. In Las Vegas, a casino operator backed by hedge funds got 20 loans. 2 nursing home chains received tens of millions of dollars. One chain in Illinois got a loan for 51 different entities, while another based in Georgia got 19. Together, ProPublica was able to identify up to $516 million that flowed to just 15 organizations. You can tell I'm getting tired. It's just so far, PPP has paid out more than $517 billion to 4.9 million companies, loans that can be forgiven if used to cover payroll, rent, mortgage, of course. Now, a lot of that did go to small people, but this isn't efficient at all. Not efficient at all. It's Congress's fault, they said. We should have helped everyone, targeted the neediest businesses. Some needy businesses did get it, but as this video has showed, a ton didn't. Another one, restaurant chains like Shake Shack disclosed they had taken PP loans. The Treasury Department responded to the uproar by changing the rules to set $20 million as the maximum any one corporate entity could accept. Businesses that had taken more, the government said, had to give it back. Well, I don't know if they give it back. Again, 51 separate limited liability companies or other businesses entities tie back to the headquarters in Peoria, Illinois. This was a healthcare firm which runs nursing homes and other healthcare facilities. The loans would secure at least 6,200 jobs, they showed, which total more than $52 million if the chain got the maximum amount of funding. Now, these are bad nursing homes, too. At least 30 of the entities are nursing homes or care facilities in Illinois that were given the lowest one-star rating, which government considers much below average when examining health inspections. So, really bad, crappy nursing homes. If you've ever been in one, I have been in one. My uncle was in one. They're horrible. They got a bunch of taxpayers' money, and I bet you the care didn't improve at all. The same crappy care that you had before. And in Maryland, 19 different loan recipients could be traced back to an office park about 30 minutes north of Baltimore. Business records show most of the companies had another Georgia address. Mariner, which was acquired in 2014 by National Senior Care Inc. for $615 million, has 20 nursing homes and healthcare centers in Southern California and San Francisco. According to this website, the companies will receive as much as $31 million in maximum funding. And supposedly they're going to safeguard 1,600 jobs. Of course, they didn't answer their phone. A casino got hacked back by hedge funds and operates 26 casinos across 3 states, valued at $1 billion. So they're not a little business. They have enough money to keep their employees going. And they got $46 million. All the loans arranged by the same bank, of course. They reached him. He declined to comment. So these companies are just saying there's nothing to see here. Not like the politicians who say, I don't know. They're just saying nothing to see. The PP loans, this is just ridiculous. And this is a company that's already been penalized for bilking the government. In 2016, they paid $33 million to the Justice Department to settle allegations that it had defrauded Medicare by admitting and keeping patients for unnecessary long stays in order to drive up billings. In November, they paid $6 million more in a different settlement with the government. They billed Medicare for doctor's visits that did not happen. They did not admit to wrongdoing, of course. And there were signs that they're weathering the COVID outbreak well, and they were building new hospitals. But of course, they got tons of money. Of course, they're going to review it. Yeah. About 29,000 loans had been made. Given the volume, it's unclear just how thorough the reviews. The reviews aren't going to be very thorough because a lot of the politicians were in on it. And again, they won't release anything under 150,000. This is what happens when the government tries to fix things. The government had good intentions here, I think, but they didn't put any rules in place, and it was rushed, and it's kind of like leaving the hens without any protection and the wolves just taking whatever they want. Anyway, on to the random companies. Before I go on to the random companies, I thought I would do a list of more big companies that got loans that weren't supposed to. Remember, this was supposed to be for the little guy, and this is coming from the taxpayers. So this is a Metroplex Social and a list of what the WTF moments where big companies got PP loans. Ashford Inc., Ashford Hospitality Trust, a big hotel chain worth 126.4. They got 126.4 million. Now, what are they going to do? They're not going to repay it. They laid off 95% of their workforce. They won't be using funds to hire workers right away. Using funds is a very low interest loan, no payments for 6 months, asking U.S. taxpayers to bail out his hotels for 1.5 years. They own 130 hotels. They got 120. The revenue is $2.2 billion in 2019. They're at least $4 billion in debt. They stopped making payments. This is amazing. This is terrible. Money was paid $1,000 $1,755, $1,755,697 in annual bonus, but they're taking out 126.4 million in loans, and he got a almost $2 million bonus. That's their CEO is guaranteed another 585,000 by the end of this month. Third-party shareholders were paid. He makes between the CEO makes between 5.6 and 6.6 million per year. They hired lobbyists to get that 126 million. They donated at least 143,000 to the Trump Victory Political Action Committee. How nice. And he's given 1.1 million, probably coming from here, your taxpayer dollars, to the Republican Party since the 2016 election. Wave Life Sciences. I saw this before and I didn't put it up. It's based in Singapore. It had net losses of 120 million, 147 million, and 194 million. So the taxpayers are giving this company that lost 400 million in the last 3 years, 7.2 million. For what? What? They can't have any employees. AutoNation, 21 billion in revenue. Market cap at 3 billion, laid off 7,000 employees. They got 77 million. Nothing to see here, guys. Potbelly. Oh, I like Potbelly. I used to go there when I was a graduate student in DC. Sit outside. It's a nice little restaurant. They got 10 million. Annual sales. Salary 425,000. Temporarily reducing. Oh, well, at least he's getting rid of 25% of his 425,000. Awarded him a $100,000 signing bonus. Eligible for a big year-end bonus that's going to get rid of that 25%. Good on them, 10 million. Legacy. Mobile home builder recently increased borrowing capacity from 47 million to 70 million. On credit from Capital One, employs 800 people, qualified to a stipulation that mobile home manufacturers have 1,250 workers. This doesn't even look like a American company. Well, I guess it is. Mobile home screen protectors. See, this isn't bad. Cruises, obviously the cruise line and travel companies are going to take a beating. But do they need 6.6 million when they had $137 million in cash and a branding deal? And I don't think so. Quantum Corp paid in December 1 million for fine for overstating revenue. They got 10 million. Okay, these guys were fined and cooking their books, 40 million in debt. They got money. This is just ridiculous, guys. Bison Capital Corp, Hong Kong. This isn't even a American firm. NASDAQ warned the company in 2019 of getting delisted due to poor performance. They got 2.1 million taxpayer dollars. Finalized to share China-based cinema company. This doesn't even look like a very American company. These guys had operating losses. They were not generating adequate revenue to fund our current operations. This was before the pandemic. They got money, 1.9 million. LiveX Live. CFOs. Okay, so they renewed the CFO. That's the financial officer. That's not even he got a bonus of 100,000. They got 2.1 million, but they can afford to give bonuses to CFOs and $325,000 salaries. But Spotify, that's Spotify. 2.1 million from taxpayers because they're so poor. Let's look at this guy. 10 million each by taking advantage of a loophole, of course. 40 locations. They did the same thing. Every location got money. They had revenue of 314.4 million. That's a little guy. These loans are for the little guys. That's definitely a little guy. The CEO defended the decisions by saying the scale of business doesn't matter. Yes, it does. That the loans were for little businesses. Okay. That's all for the big businesses. I will go on to the random businesses last, and finally this video should be over. Conclude by reading a good summation of this program, and this is in Forbes, an article, and they're talking about how this program was not governed but managed, and this is about getting the data on what happened. Many months and broken promises later, the court ordered release of crucial data. While the Trump administration is 1 foot out of the door, is a shameful dereliction of duty and flagrant mismanagement of a program that millions of workers and small businesses needed to get through this pandemic. Kyle Herrig, the president of government watchdog Accountable USA, said in a statement to NBC News, only now, after its hand has been forced, hundreds of thousands of small businesses have gone under and millions of taxpayer dollars were wasted, as this administration pulled back the curtains to reveal malpractice going on behind the scenes, and there was massive malpractice. This is hilarious. More than 100 loans were made to businesses that listed no name or showed potential data entry errors, such as names that appeared to be dates or phone numbers. Good checking, guys. My company's name is 801-244-5678, whatever. In March, the 2002 Trillion CARES Act, Relief and Economic Security Act, established $349 billion for forgivable loans. This is taxpayer money meant to go to small businesses and nonprofits badly hit by the pandemic. The first round of funding was exhausted in 14 days. That's because of all the big businesses taking money out of the program. And then it received another $320 billion to waste. Reports soon surfaced that many small businesses claim they struggled to get loans, while dozens of billionaire-owned companies and private equity firms managed to secure funding. Of course they did. And they released the loans later. They released the loans of at least 150,000 later. In October, the SBA's Inspector General said there were strong indications of widespread potential abuse and fraud in the PPP, including tens of thousands of businesses that received loans despite being ineligible for them. And in November, a federal judge ordered the SBA to disclose all the names, addresses, and exact loan amounts listed through the PPP after the Freedom of Information Act from the aforementioned 11 news organizations. We still don't have the ones under 150,000. And I agree with this. The Treasury Department and Small Business Administration encourage big banks to provide PPP loans to their wealthy existing clients at the expense of truly struggling small businesses and underserved communities. Our subcommittee said in October, after a months-long investigation into this disbursement of PPP funds. This program, while it might have saved some small businesses, was a failure. And if you made it to the end of this video, congratulations. I will give you a cookie and maybe like and subscribe. If you listen to me for this long, you should at least like and subscribe and share this video. And remember, never to believe in anybody's propaganda, not even your own. Thanks. Bye-bye.